I'm sorry. I got a little excited. So Kick-Ass 2, why do I even have these on still? I'm taking these off. They feel all nasty. By the way, that's my Kick-Ass movie poster. And speaking of the original Kick-Ass, which came out in 2010, that was one of my favorite movies that year because it really broke the barrier. I mean, it was a comedy movie, superhero movie that made fun of itself. It had a style, and the music in the first movie, I love it, even though they borrowed from a few other movies. Yeah, to sum it up, I really enjoyed Matthew Vaughn's original Kick-Ass movie. I even watched the Blu-ray last night in anticipation for the sequel, which is directed by Jeff Wadlow. And if you don't know who Jeff Wadlow is, he directed Never Back Down. Did you see that movie? And I'll be completely honest with you, I didn't really hate that movie. I mean, it had Amber Heard in it. It was at least fun to look at. Okay, let's talk about Kick-Ass 2. Going into this movie, I had some expectations. They might have been a little bit high. Based off the first movie, I expected this movie to have raunchy comedy, humor that makes fun of itself here and there, gore, violence, a little bit of nudity. It's an R-rated movie. I expect just a nibble. Did I get that? Yes, I did. Now, almost the entire cast of the first movie returns in this movie. You have Aaron Taylor Johnson. He returns in this movie to play everyone's favorite punching bag Kick-Ass, Dave Lazowski. Also returning is Chloe Moretz. And the thing I thought going into this movie, I was like, they're not going to be able to recapture what they did with the first movie. It's funny when you have a little girl kicking ass and cutting people's heads off and being the daughter of Nicolas Cage, which, by the way, random offhand thing, but there's a picture of Nicolas Cage in this movie. It's just a picture of him on the wall. And I don't know why, that was one of the funniest things in the movie. Every time that was there, I just laughed hysterically. It was like... The thing I really liked about her character in this movie was there was something for her to do. Like, she progressed as a character. I mean, she starts questioning if she wants to be a superhero anymore, and she starts, hanging out with these shallow, stupid, uppity teenage girls who watch boy band videos. She wants to join the cheerleading squad. She wants to fit in. She doesn't want to wear a purple wig and slaughter people all night long. That sounds fun. Like, I want to put a purple wig on and run around the neighborhood with a knife. Look at me! I go to jail and I'm standing in the corner in lockup with a purple wig on crying. And then I get my ass kicked. Now, before we continue on, let me give you a quick synopsis of the movie. You have Christopher Mintz-Plasse. I just call him McLovin. I'm calling him McLovin. He plays Motherfucker in this movie. He's returning as the villainous role from the previous movie. Basically, he wants to take over. He wants to be the badass, but he wants to tweet about everything he does, which I really enjoyed that humor in the movie. Anyway, he hires all these bad guy super villains to take out the wannabe superheroes throughout the movie. And one of the heroes in this movie that we're introduced to is Jim Carrey's character, Colonel Stars and Stripes. And going into this movie, I wasn't quite sure what to expect from Jim Carrey in this movie, and I was pleasantly surprised he didn't do that typical Jim Carrey thing. Like, I don't know what that was. That was a Jim Carrey impression, but you guys know what I'm talking about when he does that over-the-top, zany stuff that worked in the mid-1990s and kind of faded away after that. And by the way, at some points in this movie, you can't even tell it's Jim Carrey because his character's wearing he has so much prosthetic makeup on his face that changes his bone structure. Like, they take off his mask at one point in the movie and you're like, who the hell is that? It looks like Casey Jones from the Ninja Turtles. Now, like I said in the beginning of this video, this movie is directed by Jeff Wadlow and not Matthew Vaughn. And could I tell the difference? Well, yeah, definitely. I think overall, Jeff Wadlow does a pretty good job at duplicating that Kick-Ass style movie, but you could really tell that it just felt a little bit, a generic duplication of what we got in the first movie. First movie, if you watch the movie, you can notice all these little subtleties and with the color correction and the way that the camera moves. And in this movie, it felt like he was trying to do that, but at times it felt a little bit too music video-ish. Does anyone get what I'm saying there? The movie takes some twists and turns I wasn't expecting. Shit gets a little bit dark in this movie, and characters definitely have to change their ways, and I really like the motto and the theme in this movie. You have to take that pain and do something with it. I don't know why, in my head, both my parents died when we were walking home from the opera one night, and I had to go fight crime. I really think shit like that. As far as the comedy aspects go in this movie, I think it was funnier than the first movie. Now, I'm not saying this movie's better than the first movie. There was more comedy offered to you in this movie. There was more gags and situational humor. And speaking of comedy, the thing I really liked about this movie was they introduced a ton of other wannabe superheroes in this movie. One of the guys that really stood out to me was Dr. Gravity, played by, Donald Faison? The guy who was in Clueless, who just doesn't seem to age for the last 15 years. He's not a big part of the movie, but for what you got, the guy, I don't know why, he was just hilarious to me. So Kick-Ass 2, does the movie go bigger? Is there more comedy, more gore, and more, I don't know, Is there more wannabe superheroes? Well, yeah, technically there is. But I think overall the first Kick-Ass movie is just a notch above this movie. And overall, Kick-Ass 2 is one of the most enjoyable theater experiences I've had all summer in the movie theater. You know, it's just one of those movies that's a lot of fun. Maybe it's not as good as the first movie, but it's definitely just as enjoyable, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So I'm going to give Kick-Ass 2 a B+ for badass. Okay guys, so that's my take on Kick-Ass 2. Let me know what you thought of the movie down below in the comments. Make sure you subscribe, thumbs up, or let me know what your superhero nickname would be if you were a wannabe superhero. Like for instance, my nickname would be Flickass. So anyway guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.